Great. Hi there, everybody. Welcome to Transformational Tuesday. My name is Kirsten Evenson with the Juice Plus Company, and most of you know this is a standing call we've been doing every month for over 2 years. So the really exciting thing for me is mining my community, finding the talent, finding the gems out there that we really need to connect with as a community. So I was so excited when Beth Pearson, who's in the house, introduced me and just said, we've got to have Marni Battista present for us. So that's who we have tonight. And I got a few minutes with Marni before other people got on, and I'm just really excited. Her warmth and
Oh,
just her guidance already after knowing you 10 minutes is amazing. So I'll read Marni's bio and then just kick it off and let her run with it. So Marni Battista is an entrepreneur and author, transformational life design specialist. That's amazing.
okay.
Podcast host and radical truth seeker. She's one of us. Her
Mhm.
honest, reliable, and down to earth podcast and writing drops pearls of wisdom, not only that inspires laughter and insights, but shares radical, life changing stories of triumph and love. She's on a mission to help women harness the courage to stop letting life live them and start living a life that's beyond their wildest dreams. Marni and her work have appeared in the LA Times and the New Yorker, the Dr. Phil Show. Oh my gosh, on air with Ryan Seacrest and Home and Family TV. And her new book that you see behind her is Your Radical Living Challenge, 7 Questions for a Meaningful Life. And it was released on February 4th from Hay House. So, yes, you did hear correctly. Transformational, is it life
Transformational.
design coach?
Life
Transform
design? Yes.
Transformational life design specialist, excuse
I
me.
love that title. That's just beautiful.
Isn't it
Woo.
amazing? I know. I'm so excited for this call. And um, Marni, I'm just going to let you take it away. And, this is a really interactive and curious group
Oh,
of
good.
people. So I'm hoping, at the end, we'll have time for some questions. So,
Yeah, absolutely. We have like 30 minutes, right?
yeah, we
Okay,
do.
perfect.
Take it
Awesome.
away. Yeah.
So first of all, thanks for having me. I'm so happy that Beth, which is I have a nickname for her, which I won't share her here, but it's so funny to call her Beth. So happy to be here. So really quickly, just a little bit of my story so you have some context. So just a few days before everyone started hoarding toilet paper in 2020, I went to Whistler to go skiing, and I ended up. It was a beautiful powder day, and it was my girlfriend and I in the neon orange jacket. And she said, "Follow me this way." And there was another way, and a little part of me said, and then I thought, nah, I'll do it. And I ended up flying through the air and breaking 7 places in my sacrum. Um, and as I was sort of laying there, going down the mountain in the sled, wrapped up like a burrito, I kind of thought, like, this is such a metaphor for how I'm doing my life. I'm following without thinking. I'm rushing through life, just, getting to the next thing. And so it was that experience where I was basically immobile for about 10 weeks, where I realized that a life that I'd been spending my life doing and not very much time being. Um, and that the questions I'd been asking myself about what will make me happy were the wrong questions to ask. And that's when I stumbled upon the 7 questions that I share in my book, that we're going to talk about one of them tonight, to help me redefine what success means. Because I think, and I've always worked with highly ambitious, successful women who are very good at, you know, doing what we're supposed to do that will make us happy, like check the boxes of life, whether it is get the education or get the partner or get the house or get the kids or get the amount in our bank account. And we kind of are constantly moving the goalposts about what will finally be enough, so that we feel like we can start, living life and enjoying life and really living a life of meaning. And that was me. I checked all the boxes. I had worked my butt off to create financial security and stability for my family, but still there was just something missing. And I realized that no matter what was going to happen, I was probably never going to be satisfied. And my mom had died at 64 and I was 55. So I thought, if I have 9 years left to live, is this how I want to spend my life? And there was a resounding hell no. Like, I didn't even have to think about it. So these questions, which we're going to talk about, one, I just want you to start to think about that very first one, which I asked myself, which is, and you can think like, if I had 9 years left to live, would I want to be doing the same thing I'm doing now? But I think an even more poignant question is this: if you had one day left to live, what would you regret not doing? So you could put it in the chat if you could, I've been told you're interactive. So, but yeah, if you had one, what would you regret? I'm curious to see what comes up. Traveling more. Yep. Well, you're Heidi Fantastic, so that makes sense. Let's see what everyone else has to say. And if you're off camera, you can still use your fingers. Skydiving. Ooh, I love that. Like a bucket list kind of experience. Still planning it, would be going to India. Amazing. Anybody else want to share? Traveling, experiences, more travel. Yep. So now here's what's really interesting is you all are in business for yourselves, right? And I would guess that you probably spend most of your time, correct me if I'm wrong, is it as it relates to your profession, your career. How can I sell more, do more, be more, have more? Correct? Sell more supplements, get more clients, get more people in this community, more, right? And so while we have these experiences that we want to have, the way that we're living our life is really about, what we're acquiring. So then what happens is we have certain goals, and I'm all about having financial goals. And we can define our success to an extent around that for what it delivers to us. But when we think about our financial goals and then we hit them and we go, good, I'm a good person, I've done it, I'm worthy, now I'm successful. But then when we don't hit it, then we often believe like I'm not, and therefore the questions that we start asking are strategy, or how, or what can I do to create more sales, have more impact, get more people on the team, whatever it is. So I'm curious if you want to put in the chat. So what are some of the questions that you're asking yourself about growing your business? And maybe even like, where do you feel stuck? Like when you're sitting there and you're thinking about, all right, in my business, this is the problem I have to solve. How can I get out of my comfort zone? Who do I need to know that will share like me? Love that. What do you mean, Heidi, by share? Like get the word
So,
out?
yeah, so I am a natural sharer. Anything that I see that I love, that I believe in, I actually just recorded a video not long before this call about these lamps that I just got that are amazing. So I literally am just a natural sharer, and whether you like it or not, it's not up to me. And but that's just who I am. And so I would really like more people who are like me in my team. I'm
On
writing
your
on.
team. Okay, great. So
Yeah,
where can I find other people who like are like inspired at a soul level, like mission driven, that just are so in love with these products they want to share them?
exactly.
Okay, I love that. How can I do it and not burn myself out? Okay, so Kristen, what does that mean? Like what's it, and what are you afraid of?
Yeah, I think it's the historically saying yes to too much. I'm a yes girl, yes, 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 to the point where working full time and doing a Juice Plus business and doing the social things that I want to do even though I love all of them, it just gets to be too much, like where I just have not figured out that balance of how to,
Okay.
yeah.
Yep. So how do I achieve my financial goals, my commitments to the team, and also not burn myself out, right? So how do I have it all and not burn myself out? Okay. And then Beth also put something in the chat. So what do you mean by get out of your comfort zone?
Well, just getting stuck in what I is comfortable and just staying and not doing something that's a little more of a risk-taking scenario.
Okay.
Maybe
So what? Yeah, maybe what?
maybe like putting myself out there in different situations, like going into like an Orange Theory Fitness and seeing if I can set up a booth or something like that, knowing that many people have done that. Why not me? So
Got it.
that kind of
Okay.
thing.
Awesome. Okay, that's a great example. I feel like we got some from all sort of examples. Okay, so when we are trying to solve these problems, most of the time, um, we are asking what I call like knowledge-based or strategy-based questions. Um, so typical and like, how do I do it and not burn myself out? It might be uh, what are some ways I can manage my time, like some time hacks, right? Or what are some other ways that you've tried to solve it so far, Kirsten?
Tried to put limits on how late I'm doing my business. It seems like it is, yeah, a lot of time management, calendaring things, trying to put my phone away at a certain time, not do business on a Sunday. It's those kind of strategies.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so time management strategies. Okay, who do I know that will share like me? That might be like, so tell me what's one thing, Heidi, that you're doing to try and answer that question? Are you networking? Are you sitting there and thinking about it? Are you going through your Facebook friends? Like, how are you trying to solve that problem?
I am not networking enough, but I did actually by chance just meet um, a girl who bought a piece of furniture from me. Her name is also Heidi. And in the last 2 weeks, we've hung out 4 times. And I invited her to our Juice Plus conference, and she said if she wasn't afraid of flying and didn't have as much on her plate with reopening her restaurant after Helene, she would totally have come.
Okay. So you're like,
Getting
where
there.
can I meet people? And then if you do meet someone, how do you get them to say yes and take you up on the opportunity? Okay. So the reason why I'm asking you these questions, um, are because what we mostly do, and I did this for years in my life, is if I had a business problem or I had a problem, I would try and find the hack or the answer. And it was usually something external, like some magical thing. Like for Beth, it might be like, find the Orange Theories or the fitness places where other people came and already did this, or ask people, do I know someone who works at these places that would introduce me, right? We're like constantly thinking of like strategies. So what happens is often that does not feel energizing or engaging. And we try to do those things and we're unsuccessful. And then we tell ourselves a story like, oh, I'm not good at this, or um, maybe next time, or we beat ourselves up and say, next week I'm definitely saying no, or maybe next time I'll put my phone all the way downstairs instead of the bathroom, or whatever it is. So what happens is we end up going like in a loop, and often we make promises to ourselves or we try to do these things and nothing ever changes. So if you would think about how long have you been trying to solve this problem, just put it in the chat. Months, year, a year, 2 months, 5 years, 20 years. How long have you been trying to solve the problem? 8 years. Okay. Power hour would be a great, okay. So Kirsten's got 8 years. Who else? Forever. Okay. Awesome. Yes, I'm leading the witnesses. Okay. So that's the thing. When we try to think our way out of our patterns and our habits to achieve success, usually we find out that we've been doing the same thing over and over again and thinking, having the illusion that a different strategy is the one thing that's going to change everything. And I say that is a lie. So once I figured out that there were some other ways to go about this, my whole life changed. So the first question in the book um, uh, and these are the 7 questions that you would ask to lead a meaningful life. And question 1 is, did you seek wisdom? So I'm going to just read the little definition of it, and then we'll kind of dive into it in the last 10 minutes or so. This question asks us if we've developed the ability to be critical and self-critical in a loving and self-compassionate way. Do we ask questions about the experience we have in our lives in a way that can unlock the capacity we have for wisdom? Do we seek better understanding? Do we seek mutual understanding? Do we see the impact of even our smallest actions and to understand the cumulative impact of those actions so that we can make better choices throughout our life? So, what does that exactly mean? And I obviously talk about it in the book, but I'm encouraging you. Kirsten said, could you have one takeaway from tonight? And that is, I want to teach you about wisdom-seeking questions. I told my friend ChatGPT, who I call Chatty G, to just know them as WSKs or WSQs, wisdom-seeking questions. So I like to call them WSQs. A wisdom-seeking question is a question that actually allows you to go within to identify the actual real problem that is underneath the problem you think you have. So I call that problem what you really have, the essential problem. And for most people, the problem they think they have isn't really the problem, right? So like in my business, for the last 5 years before I really pivoted, I was trying all the strategies. I was like, oh, this isn't working. This isn't working. Why isn't this working? Maybe I do this. Maybe I do that. Until someone asked me a wisdom-seeking question. This one was super basic, but they asked me, do you still love what you do? And I was like, no. But I can't change it up now. I've been doing this for 15 years. I only have 3 more years left, right? And so a wisdom-seeking question is a deeper question that allows you to actually get to the heart of why you've been unable to do the thing that you want to do. Like, what is at the heart really of the people pleasing or of the not being able to say no, right? And where's that really coming from, right? Because if you've had a problem for more than like 2 months and you're a smart, ambitious woman, I do now because I blew up that old business and I totally shifted it. But I was terrified to do that, right? And so now I love what I do because I get to talk to you about this. I used to talk about dating. And that was really fun when I was single and I was dating and then I got married. But after a while, I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I don't love it, right? So I love what I do now. So 2 things I want you to write down. The problem I think I have is not the problem that I really have. And if I gave myself permission to really uncover the truth, like what could be possible, right? Because there's like a safety and a comfort in asking ourselves the question that has no answer, right? It's an avoidance technique that allows us to sometimes not deal with what's really going on. So let me give you some examples of some, I call them, knowledge-based questions. So you can see what I'm talking about, and then I'll show you some more examples of wisdom-seeking questions. So external, yes.
Sorry, Marn. Will you tell us the second question again? Because I didn't catch that, and I don't know if
What would
everybody
it look
did.
like if you gave yourself a permission slip to really discover the real answer?
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you for clarifying. Okay, so external questions, the ones we don't love. Why did that person XYZ? Why does this always happen to me? So like, let's say Heidi Fantastic Biggs invited like 5 cool women to join up and come, and they all said no. And she was like, man, why does this always happen to me? Meet these cool people. They're really interested, but they always have these excuses. But I know that if they do Juice Plus, like their whole life is going to change, right? But like, oh, why does this always happen? Or why can't she, or why can't he, or why does that keep happening? They're questions that reinforce a lack of being empowered, basically, right? And they close down opportunities because most of the time you'll never be able to answer those questions. So here's some examples of some really great wisdom-seeking questions. And in the book, there's an appendix with like 120 of them that really unlock like so much wisdom about like what's really, really keeping you stuck in your life and your business. Okay, so here's a great one of an internal good WSQ. What's the story I'm making up about this that's causing me to? What's the story I'm making up about this that's causing me? So what's the story Beth's making up about not putting yourself out there, getting out of her comfort zone? What's the story I'm making up about that it's like time that's my problem, or that I'm not managing my time that's my problem? Here's another great one. What is this situation, right? So what is this thing that's happening to me right now? So we can use the woman that Heidi met. What is this here to teach me or show me? What's the meaning I'm making of this situation? How can I change how I'm approaching this? What could I learn from this? And when you start asking different kinds of questions, you actually unlock the deeper truth, so that when you start to make those adjustments, those new habits, or putting yourself out there, or making those invitations, or whatever it is, or managing your time better, the solution actually is dealing with the real root of the problem. Right? Like, and maybe it's that you're a people pleaser, right? Or maybe it's that if you say no, people will forget about you. I mean, a lot of this stuff is usually pretty deep, right? But then you can really answer that question. You can address that question. You can actually resolve that question, right? You can actually get an answer. And what I do know is that when people actually hit on the truth, their whole body, you just feel it in your body. You're like, oh man, that's it. And then you can actually find solutions that are resonant with who you are, what you love to do, how you carry it out best, and really align it with your core motivations. Does that make sense? So before I open it up for questions, I want you to think of and you can either use this situation that you shared in the chat, but if you have another one that has come up since we've been having this conversation, what is a wisdom-seeking question you could ask tonight, tomorrow? You could journal about it. You could dialogue about it with someone on your team. What's a wisdom-seeking question that will actually provide you a different approach to solve this problem that you've been having for 8 years and forever? And if you want to put them in the chat, I can see, since it's your first time trying to come up with them, I can help you hone it in. And Kirsten gave you some cheat codes up there, right? So you can just grab one of those. Other questions you could ask, what would help you listen more to your intuition? What are some choices available to you rather than staying inside your comfort zone or closing down your energy when I get rejected? What do you need to maybe let go of in order to trust the universe more, or trust your process, or trust your product, or trust your team? Or Beth said, "What's the story I'm making up?" is a great one for me. Okay, that's great. I'm just picking some from the back of the book here, you know.
I like that one about faith and trust as well, because I think
Yep,
that's what I've been thinking about.
yep, that's a great one. Here's a good one for Kirsten. Are your current commitments supporting your freedom or holding it back? Um, okay, so did everyone come up with at least one to take away, to journal on?
What was that last one that you said, Marnie? Are your current commitments what holding you back?
Yeah, hold on, I have to find it again. Are your current commitments supporting your freedom or holding it back? Here's another one, like, and I use the word faith, I explain it in the book, but what I mean is sort of like believing in yourself, believing in your product, believing in your capability. So when I'm triggered, what am I not having faith in? So one of the things that I really like about wisdom seeking questions is you don't have to meditate on these if that's not your thing. You can journal on them. You can do a dialogue writing out between like you and the part of yourself that's afraid or in fear or whatever. I have in the book like different questions you can do walking meditations with, where you just go for your walk and you hold a question in your mind and sit down and journal. So there's lots of different ways to access your wisdom. But if you just remember that, like if I have a problem and it's sticking around for a long time, all the strategies and the hacks are an avoidance tactic, and that there's really an essential problem, and that I can be a better leader of myself in my life. I can get the goals and hit those if I start to actually pivot and ask questions that I can actually answer and access the deep wisdom that you carry in you, because I promise it's right there if you just start looking in the right sort of direction. Okay, I finished exactly at 7:30. Woo! Now we can do Q&A if you guys want to spend some more time, but hopefully that was helpful.
My gosh, so helpful. I just screenshotted those questions because I really do want to dive in and spend more time with them, because honestly, my answer of 8 years really probably is more honestly my whole life, right? Over committing and then ending up with just too much to where I can't even answer the question of what's supporting my freedom or holding it back because I'm just so overwhelmed. Have been in the past.
Yeah.
So
So it's like, how do you break those
yeah,
things apart? When
yeah.
people come to me often, you know, like I always joke that a successful woman's badge of honor when she first meets me is to show me her calendar. Everyone does it. It's hilarious. Like, you don't understand. And they show me their color coded Google Calendar. And I'm like, okay, well, what I notice is you're definitely not eating. I don't know when you pee. And well, how do you have time to do anything else? Right. And so, calendar is usually less a function of time management and more a little of not delegating, over functioning, you know, the reason why we say yes, FOMO. Um, that where does that come from? So the thing is, once you go down the right rabbit hole, it's way more productive than, you know, let me download this app or try and figure, because you got to, you know, always say like, are you more committed to your bullshit or your vision? And the bullshit is like, I just need another time management hack, you know?
And Marnie, what I was thinking is one of the ones that's really got me I mean, just that I think comes up all the time when I do coaching is, what's the story I'm telling myself?
Mm-hmm.
Because as long as I've known you, Kirsten, your story is, I have too much to do. It doesn't matter how much you're doing. Doesn't matter how much you've given up, but your story. And I think that groove that when I don't, and I know I can say this to you without you going, I can't believe she's saying this in front of me, because we all have the stories that we repeat unconsciously, subconsciously, that keeps us from, I mean, I know I've recently uncovered about 6 new stories that are running through my head that are really keeping me from really getting things done. Because if that's the story, you're unconscious, you want to be, you want to do what your story is. You want to absolutely validate your own story over and over again. See, I told you this is, I really am a so-and-so. So you find ways to do that so your brain is happy, kind of thing. So that story one just seems so incredibly powerful. And just in the last month, I've uncovered stories I know some of my stories that I've repeated a million times and still do, but I've uncovered some new ones and I went, whoa, that's where something is. And then I could then go deeper as well. But boy, the story is what makes the habit of being you, you.
Yeah. And I think the thing is like, you guys have a call every month called Transformational Tuesday. So you guys get it, right? Like you're trying to transform, right? So, and then it's like, how do I take that awareness and put it into action, right? Because one of the other questions is around what did I create? And that's not just creating projects, that's creating new neural pathways, creating new actions, creating new experiments, right? And so one of the things that I really teach in the book is like, how do you experiment your way into new behaviors, right? So, and that's a much more affirming strategy based on what you kind of discover. So what I've given you is like one little sliver of a whole pie, a whole system. But I think the most empowering thing you can do is catch yourself asking low quality questions, external, and focus on the internal. Heidi,
How can
question.
is there a link where we can find your book?
Oh yeah, you can go. I'll put it in the chat. I mean,
Thank you.
I have her book and it's great. And I'm
Well,
not just saying that because I've known Marnie for 30 years, but
I'm
it really
what a
is good.
blessing to you, Beth. Seriously. I am actually really excited to get this book. And the thing I think I found the most valuable that I heard you say, because I love to go on walks, is to meditate on a question when I'm walking. I'm very excited to do that.
Yeah, there's one in here that I give you at the very beginning of a wisdom seeking question that is so powerful. Um, what I love when a wisdom seeking question is really juicy that I actually have to be like, wait, what does that actually mean? Right? Like you can kind of break it apart, like it's just not so obvious. So there's lots of those in there, and I give you instructions like hold the question, set the timer for 10 minutes, da 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 da. And then there's follow-ups to the question, right? Like they take it even deeper. So those journaling prompts you'll probably really like, Heidi.
Awesome. Thanks.
Any other
Any other
questions?
questions? I've loved the interaction, even though we do have time limits. I feel like we could dive into this and be on the call all night. But I love the title of your book, Radical Living in this community. It feels like radical transformation. The word radical has been really kind of infused in our coaching and teaching, and so that also got me really excited when I learned that that's the foundation of of what you're on the planet to do. And I just so appreciate, Marnie, your time with us. And Beth, thank you so much for the introduction. And I just love how our community just weaves itself richer and deeper and juicier all the time through people like you. So thank you.
This has really been a great call. I'm very, critical about because I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly doing new classes. I'm doing I mean, you probably know who Joe Dispenza is, Marnie. So
Yep.
I'm going to his progressive weekend, this next weekend coming up.
Awesome.
His
That's
is
so great.
very much about what your second question was, or whatever, neural pathways, changing the neural pathways. So I'm really excited about it. I love learning, and this was great. This was really some good stuff, and it's stuff that I kind of already know, but in another way to see it with another container. So it was really beautiful. And before I forget, Kirsten, I just really want to thank you for every Tuesday finding, however you do it, somebody new for us to listen to. You've done a really good job at this. And I just really
Yay.
want to acknowledge you for every month you find us a speaker, and you know, in your wisdom, you've gone and asked people for help. I love that. So I just need to say
Yay. Yeah. Thank
so.
you for having me.
Beth, thank you. This was fabulous.
Thank you. I'm so glad that you could do this, Marni. I just love you to death. So
Oh, well, thank you for thinking of
Beautiful.
me.
yes.
If you guys, I'll just put my website if you want to poke around there. It's marnibattista.com. You can go on there and check out what's there. It's helpful.
I will
And
s-
also, I'll do this one too because I have a Substack, which I have a lot of really good tips and articles
Yes.
and videos and things like that.
And you can subscribe to that. It will come to you.
So everybody, thank you for all of the input. Great call tonight.
Thank
If
you.
you turn the recording off, I might tell you the secret of what Marni called me.
Okay,
Ah!
hold on. Everybody's gonna go, we want to know now
Oh, we
too,
have
right?
Well,
to
I already
hear
got
it.